Okay, welcome to JK classes, Vedanta Enterprise. Today we will be revising this chapter called Authority for Advanced Ruling, AAR, which is now renamed as BAR, Board for Advanced Ruling, from 1st September 2021. So Authority for Advanced Ruling name is to be cancelled. It's been like 4 years, 1st September 2021 onwards, BAR. Okay. Now applicable sections are section 245N till section 245W. 245W was newly introduced with effect from 1st September 21. What is this concept? This chapter in the name of AAR was introduced with effect from 1st June 1993. 1993, at that time, this chapter was introduced for providing ruling or providing tax related clarifications to non-residents. Initially, it was only for non-residents. Later on, after 5.5 years, from 1st October 1998, the scope was expanded and then it was made applicable to certain select residents and PSU, public sector company or public sector units like ONGC, IOC, GAIL, BHEL, SAIL, etc. and notified residents, but not all residents. It was for those residents who have some transactions with non-residents. Like for example, Mumbai Indian IPL team, Mukesh Ambani's team making payment to some foreign national cricket players who are non-residents. So that means resident is having transaction with non-resident. Then in such situation, such residents could apply to AAR, now BAR, could apply but not for asking tax clarifications about their own tax liability. Such kind of residents could apply asking for tax clarification of the tax liability of non-resident. Could not ask questions for themselves. Then the scope was expanded further in 2014 when Modi government came. Arun Jaitley ji expanded the scope and made it applicable for two more types of resident people. Number one, those residents like Mukesh Ambani whose transaction value for which they would want to apply to AAR, BAR, the transaction value or the value of transaction is 100 crore rupees or more than 100 crore rupees, 100 crore or more. It's not a single transaction limit, it is the limit for transaction or transactions for which the assessee resident wants to apply to AAR, BAR. And then scope was expanded and now also those people who want to find out whether arrangement entered into by them can be declared as impermissible avoidance arrangement or not with regards to GAR chapter 10A, General Anti-Avoidance Rules. So those who want to apply for GAR chapter 10A and find out whether their transaction or arrangement can be declared to be impermissible avoidance arrangement or not. Now this application can be made by resident, non-resident, both the types of people. So the very first point is, what do you mean by ruling? In this chapter, ruling basically means decision, but such a decision which has a binding effect. So originally, as per the original provisions of this chapter, the ruling pronounced by this authority AAR was non-challengeable, non-appealable. However, the ruling meaning of the term ruling remains the same, a non-challengeable decision, but according to the last section newly introduced 245W, the ruling pronounced by BAR can now be appealed against at High Court level. Therefore, the meaning of ruling has become redundant, and advance ruling used to mean decision having binding effect delivered in advance. Advance means before AO takes the decision. 5 types of people can apply, as I told you. Number 1, residents like Mukesh Ambani. Originally chapter was for non-residents, so we will start with non-resident. Non-resident can ask questions about himself in relation to tax liability arising from transaction undertaken, already undertaken or proposed to be undertaken in India. That means non-residents can ask questions about themselves with regards to past transactions as well as future transactions. Then second is any resident person having transaction with non-resident, but here the resident applicant can ask questions only about tax liability of the non-resident, cannot ask about questions about his own tax liability. Third one is resident like Mukesh Ambani having transaction value for which they are applying of 100 crore or more than 100 crore. Public sector company, that is PSU, ONGC, IOC, GAIL, BHEL, SAIL, etc. And last one, any person whether resident or non-resident, if he wants to find out whether the arrangement which is proposed to be undertaken by him, future transaction can be declared to be IAA or not, impermissible avoidance arrangement or not, as per chapter 10A on GAR. Then in this chapter Very first section is section 245N, which provides two types of definitions. Out of them, first definition is given in 245N clause A, advance ruling, and 245 clause B, applicant. Applicant definition is unimportant, never comes in exam. Advance ruling definition has come couple of times but long back. Nowadays, institute has stopped asking. Whenever definition type question comes at final CS stage, institute will not ask you to define, institute will ask you to elaborate, will ask you to explain. That means you can write it in your own wordings. Idea is that 5 types of applicant, 5 types of meaning. Simply in the definition, what government has covered is, if this person is the applicant, what questions can he ask? So 245N clause A, subclause 1, subclause 2, subclause 2A, subclause 3 and subclause 4. 1, 2, 2A, 3, 4. 5 types of applicant. Which 5 types of applicant? Number 1, non-resident. Second is resident having transaction with non-resident, cannot ask questions about himself, can ask questions about tax liability of non-resident. Then Mukesh Ambani type people, resident having transaction with valued at 100 crore or more. And PSU and GAR people for knowing whether arrangement, future arrangement can be declared to be IAA or not. Accordingly, 5 meanings are there. Same thing is reproduced in applicant definition also. So and so people who make application under 245Q section. So advance ruling means clause A, subclause 1. Advance ruling means determination by the authority. Here still government uses the word authority instead of the word board. It says determination by the authority, but determination of what? Here non-resident is the applicant. Then what determination? Determination about anything relating to transaction which the non-resident applicant has undertaken, that is past transaction, or proposed to be undertaken by such non-resident applicant. Or clause A, subclause 2. Subclause 2 is for resident having transaction with non-resident. Determination by the authority in relation to tax liability of a non-resident. In case if resident applicant is applying Mumbai Indian team or any other IPL team or anybody having transaction with non-resident, cannot ask questions about himself. If he wants to ask questions about himself, then he has to apply under clause A, subclause 2A, whereby his transaction value should be more than 100 crore. Rich people only can apply. People like me cannot apply. Determination by the authority in relation to tax liability of a non-resident, which is arising out of the transaction which is already undertaken or proposed to be undertaken. Here also, just like previous point, past transaction as well as future transaction, undertaken, proposed to be undertaken by resident applicant with such non-resident. But resident can ask tax liability questions about non-resident. Or notified resident, that is Mukesh Ambani type people. 1st October 2014 this was introduced. Determination by the authority. If you observe, first line is common everywhere and you don't need to word reproduce the definition, because in exam they don't ask you to define, they will ask you to explain, they will ask you to elaborate. Determination by the authority in relation to tax liability of a resident, own liability arising out of a transaction undertaken or proposed to be undertaken. See, certain points are common everywhere. The first line says determination by the authority, determination by the authority, determination by the authority. With regards to transaction which is undertaken or proposed to be undertaken, undertaken or proposed to be undertaken, undertaken or proposed to be undertaken. That's why certain points are easy to remember, because they are repeated again and again, barring some exceptions. So, tax liability of a resident, determination by the authority in relation to tax liability of a resident arising out of any past transaction undertaken or future transaction proposed to be undertaken by such resident applicant with anybody. Fourth one is for public sector company. Public sector company PSU called as notified resident. Determination or decision by the authority. Here the first line is slightly different. Everywhere else it is determination by the authority. Here it is determination or decision by the authority, but slightly on a different footing. An issue, determination of an issue relating to computation of total income. Now public sector company cannot ask any XYZ question, they can ask questions only relating to computation of total income. And one extra point for PSU, that is they can ask questions only on those issues, those matters which are pending before an income tax authority or pending before ITAT. Then only they can ask. For all other people, upcoming provision 245R says that for other applicant other than PSU, the matter raised before AAR or BAR should not be pending anywhere else, should not be pending at any level. But for PSU, rules are slightly different. Matter should be pending. pending where, but not pending before High Court, Supreme Court. If it is pending before High Court, Supreme Court, then AAR, BAR is of ITET level. If the matter is pending before High Court, Supreme Court, then the application here will be rejected, because High Court, Supreme Court is a superior authority as compared to BAR. So if pending up to ITET level, which is equivalent to BAR, then application will be entertained. So public sector company matter should be pending, other people matter should not be pending, otherwise application will be rejected. Or last one for GAR, subclause 4, say any person, here determination or decision by the authority whether an arrangement, but future arrangement, not past transaction, arrangement which is proposed to be undertaken by any person, whether resident or non-resident, is an impermissible avoidance arrangement or not, referred to in chapter 10A on GAR. This definition you will have to remember as much as possible, especially the highlighted wordings, rest all you can skip. Okay. Then 245N clause B, applicant, applicant meaning is totally unimportant. Then the next section was 245O, constitution of AAR, which has been deleted now, deleted from 1st September 21, stating that AAR will comprise of chairman, vice chairman and 2 types of members. That deleted, now it shall be replaced by 245OB, 245-OB, subsection 1, subsection 2. Central government shall constitute 1 or more BAR. How many BARs are set up? 3 BARs have been set up. 2 at Delhi called as Bar 1, Bar 2 and 1 in Mumbai, Bar 3, Hext House, Nariman Point, Mumbai. 2 at Delhi, which is at in the same area, Chanakyapuri, address you need not know, and 1 at Mumbai at Nariman Point, Hext House. However, on or after 1st September 21, and Bar will comprise of 2 members. Earlier when it was AAR, it used to comprise of chairman, vice chairman and 2 types of members. At that time, institute had asked one question, how many members are there and what is their qualification? Now similar question can come now. Here qualification is not mentioned, but 2 people shall be members nominated by CBDT and they should not be below the rank of Chief Commissioner. This is not important, but institute may ask a question on this. 245P, unimportant section, saying vacancies caused in the AAR, BAR shall not invalidate the proceeding. It talks about 2 points, number 1 and number 2. It says any vacancy caused in BAR, meaning whereby there should be 2 members, we know pretty well. But when I applied, my proceeding went on and on for 6 months. During that 6 month span of time, there was only 1 member. Other member had retired and his vacancy was not filled up. That means 1 post was vacant for all throughout the 6 months period when my proceeding was going on. Can I challenge the proceedings that only 1 member was there whereas 2 members are required? Answer no, will not invalidate the proceeding. Similarly, any defect in the constitution of AAR, BAR will also not invalidate the proceeding. So this is not important. So after 245N, I have covered 245OB and straight away 245Q in your notes. 245Q is making application. Here there are 3-4 points applicable. Point 1, application is to be made along with the fees. 5 types of applicant and accordingly 5 types of forms are there. Form number 34C, 34D, 34DA, 34E, EA. C, DDA, EEA. Okay, for which kind of people? So 34C is for non-resident, 34D is for resident having transaction with non-resident, 34DA is for resident having transaction value of 100 crore or more, 34E is for PSU and 34EA is for GAR people, IAA. Application can be withdrawn or not? Answer, application is allowed to be withdrawn within 30 days from the date of making application. However, earlier when it was AAR, at that time there were some instances where AAR had exceptionally allowed people to withdraw the application. There were some instances in the past where AAR had allowed the applicant to withdraw the application even beyond 30th day in exceptional cases. However, whether same concept will apply for BAR or not, we don't know because government has not clarified, and up till now in last 3 years, ever since 1st September 21, there has not been a single instance where anybody would have tried withdrawing beyond 30 days. Application filing fees is notified by CBDT in Rule 44E. Fees will depend upon what is the value of transaction for which person is applying. However, for GAR people and PSU people, fees will be 10,000 fixed, 10,000 rupees, irrespective of the value of transaction. For all other applicant covered by 245NB clause 1, that is non-resident clause 1, non-resident clause 2, resident having transaction with non-resident, and clause 2A, Mukesh Ambani type of people with transaction value of 100 crore or more. For these three types of people, the amount of one or more transaction which is already entered into or proposed to be entered into, for which application is made, for which ruling is sought, if the value of transaction is up to 100 crore, then the fees will be 2 lakh, more than 100 but up to 300 crore, fees will be 5 lakhs, and more than 300 crore, then fees will be 10 lakh. 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, three types of slabs. All other people means PSU and GAR cases, fees will be 10,000. Up till now, long back in the past, institute asked one question on the fee structure. Otherwise, questions on fees not expected. Proviso to 245 Q4 says that whosoever had applied to AAR, earlier authority, up to 31st August 21 and the proceeding is pending, then the case will be transferred to bar along with all relevant records. This is not applicable as of today. Procedure is slightly important, 245R. Please understand this. Now, one has to make application in prescribed form along with the fees. The prescribed form should be in quadruplicate, 4 copies, can be withdrawn up to 30 days, but otherwise out of 4 copies, 1 copy bar will send it to CCIT or CIT PCIT having jurisdiction over the case. Why? Reason? AAR, BAR would not know anything about the applicant, would not know the background of the applicant. So, to find out the background from the previous records, past records, they will forward one application to CIT, PCIT, asking CIT, PCI to furnish relevant records to bar, which shall be written back after done with, and after scrutinizing the two things, application of the assessee applicant and verifying the records received from CIT, PCIT, BAR will initially allow or reject the application. I am not saying they will pass the order right now. Of course, pass the order, but they will just decide whether application should be allowed to be proceeded further with or should be rejected. No rejection unless two conditions are satisfied. Condition number 1, opportunity of being heard is given to the applicant to hear his case, to produce his relevant documents, and the second condition is after recording reasons. So, diagrammatically it will look like this. Applicant will make an application in quadruplicate to bar. 1 copy thereof will be forwarded to CIT, PCIT, relevant records will be called upon. Scrutinizing everything together, AAR, BAR will either allow or will reject the application. No rejection unless opportunity of being heard is given. However, there are 4 circumstances where application will straight away be rejected. That is what is important from exam perspective. In case if the application is allowed to be proceeded further with, then AAR, BAR will pronounce his ruling within a period of 6 months from the date of making application, from the date of receipt of application by them. The order which they will pass is not to be called as order, it is called as ruling pronounced by AAR, BAR. It's a technical term. 3 copies will be produced, 1 copy they will retain, 1 copy they will forward to applicant, 1 copy they will forward to CIT, PCIT, 3rd copy where will go, 3rd copy they will retain for their records. Nowadays everything is in an online way, faceless proceeding. Okay. However, in following 4 cases, application will straight away be rejected. This is slightly important from exam perspective. Questions are asked. First point, if you recollect, I told you 5 types of applicant. Out of them, PSU can apply only if the matter which they are raising before AAR, BAR, that matter for PSU should be pending before an income tax authority or pending before an ITAT. Now, if for other applicant, the matter should not be pending. So, first point is about that only. Any applicant other than PSU. Other than PSU, that means should not be pending anywhere. If the matter is already pending, matter raised before AAR, BAR is pending before an income tax authority or ITAT, then application will straight away be rejected. Straight away be rejected means AAR, BAR need not give any copy of reasons. Reasons will be recorded, but they need not give opportunity of being heard to the assessee applicant. Secondly, which is for all applicants, including PSU, including resident, including non-resident. For any of them, any of the 5 applicants, if the matter raised before AAR, BAR is pending before any court, any High Court, Supreme Court, etc. Because High Court, Supreme Court is one step above the BAR, therefore application will be rejected. So, we can conclude this way that in case of public sector company, if pending before any court, then application will be rejected. Pending before High Court, Supreme Court, application will be rejected. And for every other applicant other than PSU, wherever pending, if pending anywhere, then will be rejected. 4-5 times questions have come on this, theory questions. What is the question? Now here you need to understand one thing. This section was amended on 1st June 2000. At that time, prior to amendment, the language used in the act stated that for 245, that if pending in their own case, the language was if pending in their own case, then it will be rejected. So if pending in somebody else's case, same matter is pending before any High Court, Supreme Court, ITET, pending in somebody else's case, then my application will not be rejected. If it is pending in my own case, maybe for some earlier year, pending in my own case, then rejected. Now, when Act was amended in June 2000, at that time language was slightly changed. The wordings pending in own case, the own case wordings were deleted. So now the wordings are if pending at any of these places, pending then rejected. So interpretation is that now if the matter is pending not only in my own case, the applicant, but even if it is pending in somebody else's case, which I wouldn't be even knowing about, then also application can be rejected. This is basically to avoid the clash of authority. However, whenever government announces the budget, which is called Finance Bill, which becomes Finance Act, along with Finance Bill or Act, government also publishes something called explanatory memorandum. Explanatory memorandum where government clarifies the reason behind amendments. Why the amendment was like that and what is the logical reason behind it. So in the year 2000, it was Finance Act 2000 when government published Finance Act. In Finance Act, these wordings were dropped, that pending in the case of own case. Those wordings were deleted. Now, but in explanatory memorandum, they continued with the same wordings. If pending in own case, then rejected. As per Finance Act, if pending, then rejected. In whose case pending, not clarified. Anybody's case pending, it will be rejected. But in explanatory memorandum, it very clearly stated that pending in own case, then rejected. Questions are asked based on this. You don't need to use your brain. Write a diplomatic answer the way institute answers. I've solved a couple of questions on this in the regular lecture. Have a look at it, or you will find it on institute's module also. Anywhere you will find it. Okay, so those who have joined our classes, they must be knowing about it. We had discussed such questions 4-5 times questions for us. Every time institute ends up writing diplomatic answer. First you write as per Finance Act, and then you mention about explanatory memorandum, that as per explanatory memorandum so and so. Real life, what do? In real life, Act supersedes the explanatory memorandum. Explanatory memorandum has no relevance or no weightage in the real life. So when you have to file appeal, whatever is stated in Finance Act can be taken as a base, but whatever is given in explanatory memorandum cannot be taken as a base. So in real life, Act will supersede explanatory memorandum, but still for exam purpose, the institute expects us to answer both the way. Or we were discussing under what circumstances application will be rejected. First, application is made by public sector company pending at High Court, Supreme Court will be rejected. If the application is by any other applicant other than public sector company, that is remaining 4 applicants, non-resident, resident having transaction with non-resident, resident with transaction value of 100 crore or more, and those who are applying for GAR. Of course, for those who are applying for GAR, impermissible avoidance arrangement, they can apply only for future transactions. For them, nothing could have been pending anywhere. Third possibility, if the application before AAR involves determination of FMV of any property or determination of fair rate of interest, then application will be rejected. AAR, BAR is not here to determine FMV for you people. If you want FMV of your asset, go to register valuer. Last one, if the application involves a matter which prima facie is designed. Prima facie means looking at the face of the record, primarily anybody can say it is like this, that is called prima facie. Prima facie the transaction is designed for avoidance of tax, then AAR, BAR will reject the application, except in case of PSU, because PSU being government company could not have entered into such kind of transaction, and applicant falling under 245N clause A subclause 4, that is GAR cases chapter 10A, for finding out whether transaction arrangement can be declared as IAA or not under chapter 10A. Why these people? PSU is okay, understood, except for PSU, but for GAR people, because they have not entered into the transaction yet, they are planning to enter into, and that is why they want to know whether it is impermissible tax avoidance transaction or not under general anti-avoidance rule. So they are primarily applying to find out that only. And if AR rejects it, BR rejects it, calling it as a primarily a tax avoidance transaction, that is what they want to know, whether given arrangement can be tax avoidance transaction or not. So application will not be rejected. If application is not rejected, that means admitted, then within 6 months from the date of receipt of application, they will pronounce the ruling. One copy of the ruling will be forwarded to assessee, applicant, and one copy to CIT, PCIT, certified copy, certified by member. AAR shall now be substituted by bar everywhere mentioned. Then 245R9 talks about faceless proceeding, which is totally irrelevant. So this, when can it be rejected? That is what you need to learn. That is what you need to remember. 4 circumstances of rejection. 5 meanings of advanced ruling. Definition is important, but not word to word. You can elaborate it in your own language. That is one is important. Second important is in how many days the application can be withdrawn. 30 days from the date of making application. Third thing is under what circumstances can it be rejected. And now 245RR. 245RR. See, faceless proceeding is not to be done. Ignore it. 245RR is slightly important. It says which is applicable for PSU. For PSU, if you recollect, we discussed that PSUs can apply only if the matter raised before AAR is pending before Income Tax Authority or ITAT, but not pending before any High Court, Supreme Court. So if pending before Income Tax Authority or ITAT, then there could be a very problematic situation. There could be a very big dilemma. On one hand, matter is pending before AO. AO also takes the decision, and at the same time applicant PSU applies to AAR BAR. AAR BAR also takes the decision. What if the decision taken by AO and the decision taken by AAR BAR, that is ruling, are contradicting with each other? There can be very embarrassing situation. Therefore, it's been clarified in this section that if PSU is applying, that is notified resident has made application to AAR BAR, then the concerned Income Tax Authority or ITAT shall not proceed further till the time AAR BAR decides the matter. Income Tax Authority or ITAT will have to stop. They will not proceed further. No Income Tax Authority or ITAT shall proceed further in a matter to decide the case. Next is 245S, was very important section once upon a time, but it is deleted by Nirmala Sitharamanji with effect from 1st September 2021. What was 245S? Understand very clearly. If you recollect transfer pricing chapter, we had discussed advance pricing agreement, which was similar to authority for advance ruling. Now here what happens is 1st September 2021 onwards, this section is deleted, but you need to understand what is this section. This was about binding nature of ruling. Binding nature means on whom will it be binding. Binding nature, so just like APA, advance pricing agreement, here also there was concept called justice in persona or agreement in persona. Ruling will be binding unless there are changes in the law or facts. Ruling was going to be binding only on the applicant. Ruling was binding on the transaction in respect of which the ruling was pronounced unless there are changes in the law or the facts. And the third point was binding on CIT, PCIT and all income tax authorities who are below PCIT, CIT in respect of said applicant, in respect of said transaction. That is okay, you know about it. Justice in persona it was as compared to justice in rem, meaning thereby ruling pronounced in one person's case would be binding only for that person. Other people cannot make use of it. If others also want to use the same ruling, say two non-residents, Mr. X, Mr. Y, both of them come to India, both of them set up a factory in Noida for manufacturing air conditioner. Both of them from same country, both of them came together, both of them set up factory, both of them into air conditioner manufacturing. Everything is same, but Mr. X applied to AAR BAR by paying 10 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh fees. He obtained the ruling. Mr. Y has not applied, he has not paid the fees, he is finding it very expensive. Ruling will be binding only on applicant Mr. X. Same ruling with same situation, Mr. Y cannot obtain. Ruling not applicable for Mr. Y. If he wants same ruling, he has to pay the fees, he has to apply. That was the concept of 245S. Now when this is deleted from 1st September 2021, it means that ruling pronounced in one person's case can be applied to other people also. Other people can also make use of it as a reference. Just like High Court decision, Supreme Court decision of third party, the way we use it for reference purpose, ruling pronounced in case of Mr. X can be used by other people also, provided everything else is same, all facts and circumstances are same. That will be the impact of deletion of 245S. 245T, very important section. According to this, ruling can be declared to be void. Once the ruling is pronounced, very important point, questions have come couple of times on this section, very small section. Once the ruling is pronounced, later on it comes to knowledge of AAR BAR that the ruling was obtained by the applicant by way of fraud or misrepresentation of fact. These two terminology you will have to remember, fraud or misrepresentation of fact. Then by passing an order in writing, AAR BAR can declare his ruling to be void ab initio. This point is still there, declaring it to be void ab initio. Questions have come in the exam. theory questions straight away on this, straight away to the point. Next is powers of AAR, BAR. AAR had 2 powers. Now BAR has only 1 power, other power is deleted. They shall have all the powers of a civil court under Code of Civil Procedure, whatever powers are available under section 131. Section 131 is a part of search and seizure, whereby they have 5 powers: discovery and inspection, compelling production of books of accounts documents, enforcing attendance of any person and examining such persons on oath, discovery and inspection, compelling production of books of accounts documents, enforcing attendance of any person and recording statement on oath, issuing summons, that is commission, forcibly calling somebody, and last one, power to impound, that is retain with themselves, power to impound books of accounts documents produced by assessee for a period of 15 working days, extension possible. These are the 5 powers which are available to other income tax authority. Same powers are available to AAR, BAR also. There is one more power under the same section, that AAR, BAR will have a power to regulate its own proceeding. Government had stated that we have constituted you, now day-to-day affairs, form number, fee structure, everything you people decide. Central government had given powers to them that you regulate your own proceeding. That power is deleted now from 1st September 21, which means they will have no power to regulate themselves. Regulatory body will be central government. Central government will control them, of course under Ministry of Revenue. And last important point, newly introduced 245W, this section was not there. I would like to explain you this section from another point, because you won't be able to see everything. This is about filing appeal to High Court. This was introduced from AY 2220, appeal to High Court. Who can file appeal? Appeal against what? Answer, appeal against the ruling pronounced by BAR, not against ruling pronounced by AAR. Earlier, ruling could not be challenged. It was non-appealable. Once you apply, that means you are giving an undertaking that whatever is the ruling, you will follow that. It will be binding on you. But now 245S is deleted, ruling is no more binding. Then it is as good as decision of some ITAT, that kind of a theory. Appeal to High Court, who can file? Answer, both the parties can file. Assessee can also, applicant can also file, and on the other hand, department can also file. From department side, it will be AO. AO can file, provided AO is directed to do so by CIT or principal CIT. Normally, time limit to file appeal to High Court is 120 days from the date of receipt of order sought to be appealed again. Normal time limit is 120 days, but here the time limit is 60 days, half of it, 60 days from the date of receipt of copy of ruling of bar. Extension possible? Answer, in appeals revision chapter we had studied that delay can be condoned. Here instead of saying delay can be condoned, it says extension possible for maximum 30 days, 30 more days. And then there is a concept of faceless appeal to High Court, which is not relevant from exam perspective. So, important thing, 245W, ruling can be appealed against. This is important. 245T, very important, ruling can be declared to be void. 2 things are important. Third thing, 245R, ruling application can be rejected in 4 circumstances. And then this making application to AAR, BAR, fee structure, and how many days it can be withdrawn. 30 days from the date of making application. That's it. With that, revision of this chapter comes to an end. See you in the next video with some other chapter. Till then, wish you a very good luck. All the best.